Hello and welcome to this video from the Logic and Set Theory unit. We're going to be looking at how you go about finding the value of x, meaning the complete overlapping term in a three-set Venn diagram. You're going to be given a very specific kind of question to have to do this. They're going to give you a whole bunch of information about three different sets. And the key is the question right at the very end of all of the information. Don't worry about all this information yet. Look down at the bottom and look at this question. How many children have all three systems? In this question, we're talking about video game systems. They're talking about three different sets, in this case, three different video game systems, and they want to know how many children have all three of them, which is this group right in the center overlap that belongs to each of the three different sets. In order to calculate that middle number, you have to use the principle of inclusion and exclusion, which is a large and fairly ugly equation that you can use to figure out the middle number. Before you start on the equation though, let's start putting some of the information in here. I don't know x, so I'll put x in the center. I don't know how many have all three systems, but I can put in the next batch of information. If I say that this is Xboxes, and this is PlayStations, and that this bottom set is Wii's, okay, I can start filling in some of these overlaps. 14 students have only an Xbox and a PlayStation, meaning they have those two systems but not a Wii. That's this little flower petal right here, so I can stick a 14 in there. That's the intersection between Xbox and PlayStation only. 6 students have only an Xbox and a Wii. So that's this flower petal. So I can put a 6 in there. And 3 have a PlayStation and a Wii, which is this flower petal, and you put a 3 in there. Unfortunately, I can't go any further until I know what X is. If you look at the Wii, for example, I know 31 students own a Wii. I know this section here, plus this number, plus X should equal 31. This circle here is how many people own a Wii. But without this X, I have no idea what this number is. So this is as far as you can get. I call this little middle section the flower. You can fill in the flower, but then you're off to a fairly ugly equation. And the equation that we want looks like this. It says the number of students that have all three items, so Xbox union with PlayStation union with Wii, which is the entire contents of all three sets, is equal to the number that have an Xbox plus the number that have a PlayStation plus the number that have a Wii. And then there's some minuses here because we have some overlap. You might have seen this with two set Venn diagrams where you had to subtract some values out. We subtract the number that own an Xbox and a PlayStation. We subtract the number that own an Xbox and a Wii. And we subtract the number that own a PlayStation and a Wii. And then at the very end, we add the number of students that have all three, so that have an Xbox and a PlayStation and a Wii. Yikes. That is one big ugly formula. I would be highly recommended to put that on your cheat sheet. Just replace Xbox, PlayStation, and Wii with labels like A, B, C, and then follow the pattern when you get to a question like this. Fill it all in with A, B, C, and then replace the A, B's, and C's with your specific information from your question. Now I'm going to start filling in what values I can. The number of students that have one or more of all the systems here is 91. So 91 students own either an Xbox or a PlayStation or a Wii, or some combination of both. 51 students own an Xbox, so that's my next stop, 51. 50 students own a PlayStation, that's from here, and then number that own a Wii is 31. That's not bad. Now it starts to get a little weird. I want to subtract the number that have an Xbox and a PlayStation. Well, that is this football shape here. That's the total number that have an Xbox and a PlayStation. Notice it doesn't say Xbox and PlayStation only. That includes students who have only an Xbox and a PlayStation, and students that have an Xbox and a PlayStation and a Wii. So that number is, and I have to put this in brackets, 14 plus whatever X is. Then I put another subtract, and then I want the number that have an Xbox and a Wii, which is this football shape here. So in brackets, I need to put 6 plus X, because I don't know what X is. And then for the last one, I subtract the number that own a PlayStation and a Wii. That is that football shape there. And again in brackets, that is 3 plus X. And then at the very end, I'm going to add on the number of students that own all 3 systems. All I know is I'm representing that with the letter X. Now I can begin to simplify this equation a little bit. I still have 91 over here. These first 3 numbers I can feel free to add together. I get 132. These negatives have to be distributed through these brackets. So I get 132 minus 14 minus X. When I distribute this negative through, I get minus 6 minus X. Distributing this negative gives me minus 3 minus X. And then don't forget this last little one here, plus X. So again, simplifying a little bit more, I'll leave my 91 on the other side. 132 minus 14 minus 6 minus 3. I would type that into my calculator, and that gives me 109. Negative X and negative X and negative X is 3 negative X's, or negative 3X, plus an X gives me negative 2X. Now you have to solve this little equation. You can do so by subtracting 109 from both sides. Isolate the X. I get negative 18 is equal to negative 2X. And then I divide both sides by negative 2. Those cancel, and I'm left with positive 9 equals X. So I have figured out that my middle term here, as opposed to being X, is actually 9. The focus on the video was finding that number, but we'll just continue on for a second just to finish off the Venn diagram. Now I know if 31 students own a Wii, I know that this number, all 4 sections here, the 9, the 6, the 3, and this blank have to add up to be 31. So on my calculator, if I take 31 minus 9 minus 6 minus 3, I get a leftover of 13 people that own a Wii only. Do that for PlayStation. It says 50 students own a PlayStation. That's this entire circle here. So 50 minus 14 minus 9 minus 3 leaves me with 24 students that own a PlayStation only. And then for Xbox, 51 students own an Xbox. So 51 minus 14 minus 9 minus 6 gives me 22. Once you have every section of your Venn diagram filled in, you can answer how many children of all 3 systems? 9 children, and you can answer any other question they might decide to ask you. Thanks for watching the video.